The opponent builds to the Earthquake. Steelix operating as a damage sponge. If you've got it, trainer, enjoy yourself. The opponent full sends the Earthquake and then send out Skeledirge. I see your Earthquake and I'm going to raise you my own Earthquake. Does the opponent respect the damage? They do not get that Skeledirge out of here. Welcome back to the channel. The trend of me showcasing some Ultra League spice will be continuing. We're taking a look at a classic Great League team in the Ultra League, Pelipper Double Steel. We've currently got a Steel type event on, so what better time to showcase a Double Steel team. Lucario also got buffed this season, gaining access to Thunder Punch, and Lucario also has his Mega Raid Day this weekend, so why not try it out in the Open Ultra League? Gaining access to Thunder Punch is quite interesting for Lucario. It now gives you the ability to beat things like mandibuzz. You can hit stuff like jellicent, feraligatr, poli and tapu fini for super effective. Yeah, it's ranked like 182nd on PV Poke. So I've not got the most hopes and dreams on it, and I actually went 0 and 8 originally. Of course, with an ABB team, you're going to look to use something as a safe switch. I was using Shadow Reggie, looking to bait out any potential fire type, fighting type, water type, mud boy, quite a lot of things. And I'll be honest, Reggie didn't do a particularly good job. Well, it baited them out, did 0 damage, obtained me a shield advantage, and then I just got clapped. However, undeterred, we subbed Reggie out, put Shadow Steelix in, and we had some success. So without any further ado, let's get into the battle. And in game 1, shout out this opponent running Shadow Golurk. What a pick. The opponent save switches into Granbull. I'm going to go for some chip and dip action, fire off the Weather Ball, and then save switch into Steelix. Steelix able to outpace to the Psychic Fang. Psychic Fang goes unshielded and doesn't knock out, but this is going to allow me to shield up the potential close combat, double resisted, Dragon Tail farm down, and keep that super positive alignment. Of course, my Lucario will be hitting for double resist for the counters, and I was going to say would be taking huge damage from the Mud Slaps, which they're actually not running. They're running Astonish. We full send the Earthquake. The opponent shows no respect, get one-shot vanquish, back to their Pokeball. Out comes Chestnut, and we're off to our 1-0 start. GG's, and thanks for playing. In the next battle, we see Greedent in the lead. Most Greedent teams are going to have Guzzlord and Tentacle in the back. However, after going 0 and 8 and running stuff like Seeking, we're in the trenches, so this could be anything. Of course, running an ABB team, I'm always going to check to see if they've got a potential Mud Boy, Fire type, Fighting type, anything Lucario doesn't want to see. The opponent opts to stay in, which means my team call originally could be correct. We full send the Earthquake. Again, the opponent shows no respect, get rocked very deep into the red. Even if it is that team with Guzzlord and Tentacle, if I can get alignment, we can just align ourselves correctly. I'm just going to put Lucario onto the Guzzlord, and then we're going to put Pelipper onto the likely Tentacruel. That's a dragon, but that isn't the dragon I was expecting. Zygarde. I'm still thinking it's Tentacruel in the back, so I'm going to opt to send out Lucario here. With a lower defense, these counters, well, let's be fair, aren't doing all that much damage as they are insanely bulky. They chipped me with a crunch, which of course I'm not sure. They didn't even build up to the Earthquake, and out comes Tentacruel. We fire off the Thunder Punch, which the opponent didn't respect, and Lucario says plenty more of where that came from. The second Thunder Punch finally forced a Protect Shield, and then we're going to look to catch the Scald onto Pelipper, where it is resisted damage. The counts for Scald are going to be 8 for the first and 7 for the second. So I'm going to throw the Hurricane on the CMP tie. I'm really hoping this knocks out. If it does, I think we're cooking. You can see Tentacle just so thick. That stab Hurricane didn't do enough damage. I'm reluctant to shield a resisted move, but in hindsight, I probably should have. Due to the fact I didn't shield, I'm not going to make back-to-back Weather Balls. If I would have made the back-to-back, the opponent likely give me that final shield, or we can just counter down. Again, this is only a crunch. In theory, you shouldn't shield the first, as the second would do more damage. I can't really shield that, as the opponent still has a Protect Shield. My Wincon is going to do the counter farm down. We don't get it, and we're going to take a loss. GG's to that opponent. In the next battle, we see Clefable in the lead. Clefable, pretty tricky for this team, as it has the ability to beat both our Steel types. Steelix will be hitting for double resisted. With the Dragon Tail, I try my luck catching the Moonblast onto Steelix. The opponent responds with Typhlosion. I try and get off the Earthquake, lose CMP. The opponent was at 80 energy, so we can come in, throw 2 wing attacks, get this Weather Ball off before they reach the Thunder Punch. However, we're not sitting in the best spot. That Clefable has so much energy. We're going to look to try and call a Meteor Mash bait here. However, the opponent full sends the Moonblast, and my god, even level 50 Pelipper is somewhat of a glass cannon. We didn't tank that all that well. I full send the Hurricane, forcing the Protect Shield, and we send out Lucario again. We're going to look to call the bait. Who doesn't bait Lucario? Okay, we might have a chance. Again, this is a meteor mash, but I need to shield something in case they got something with fast move pressure in the back. The opponent fire off the next meteor mash, and out comes mandibuzz, and this is where Thunder Punch is going to be very nice. Thunder Punch, a pretty mid move. 40 energy, 55 damage. However, Lucario has a monstrous attack stat, 187. To put that in perspective, it's higher than stuff like Zapdos and almost identical to Surfetch. So you know what we're dealing with, a really attack-weighted mon. You can see just how dominant Lucario is in this matchup. We are going to shield up the aerial ace, commit to the counter farm down, and then we find ourselves in the bait game. We're just going to full send. Does the opponent respect the damage? Shadow Ball goes unshielded. We pivot into Pelipper, we're able to get the wing attack farm down, and we take that game. In the next battle, we see Scrafty in the lead. The opponent's staying in. Scrafty, much like Lucario, got access to Thunder Punch this season, so I think I'm smart. Try and catch a Thunder Punch onto Steelix, and we are unsuccessful. The opponent throws the foul play, so perhaps they have got Thunder Punch, because if not, I guess they just pop and try and cheese their way through this matchup. However, Steelix is the king of cheesing through matchups, has no right in winning. We full send the Earthquake, Scrafty gets one shot vanquished back to their Pokeball, and out comes Tentacruel, and Steelix still not done. Gonna fire off the Psychic Fang, not only hitting for super effective, but lowering their defense. The opponent is also going to be forced to throw. This is the first time I've actually used Steelix in Ultra League. It's been a bit of a long-term project. It's still under level, but hopefully this event I will finish it off. We send out Pelipper, throw the Hurricane on the CMP tie. Hurricane goes unshielded, and out comes Trevenant. This game still isn't quite over. We farm up, look to catch the potential Shadow Ball or Seed Bomb bait onto Lucario. The opponent throws the Seed Bomb, and that very much puts me in a winning position. Again, this is just a Seed Bomb, which won't be lethal. So of course we're going to no-shield this, fire off the Shadow Ball, which will force the opponent's first shield, and then we can just spam Weather Balls and finish them off. The opponent recognises the game's over, tank the damage, and we're going to move swiftly on. We'll lead the Flying Toilet into Skeledirge, a nice lead for us. The opponent safe switches into Tapu Fini, something we don't have a great response for. I YOLO the Hurricane, Hurricane lands for big damage, and we send out Steelix. Now it's in a manageable health range. This might be my first time using Steelix, but you can see I'm a pro already. I throw 1, 2, 3, 4 Dragon Tails and spam the Psychic Fang as soon as I can get it. These Dragon Tails are double resisted, so it's not like that defense drop helps me all that much. We're going to be unable to Dragon Tail farm down. I am going to shield this move up, however, really needing to keep alignment. I allow myself to get very low, allowing the Skeledirge minimal farm. Psychic Fang does secure the knockout. Back out comes Skeledirge. We survive the Incinerate, so we are going to get off one further Psychic Fang, now lowering their defense. The opponent, to my surprise, invest that Protect Shield when they really didn't need to, and out comes Pelipper. As always, we look to call the bait. The opponent does fire off the Disarming Voice, and then again they pivot into Tentacruel, and we answer with Lucario. This is a pretty nice matchup for us in the Zero Shield, as 2 Thunder Punches knock out Squidward, which is pretty absurd considering how bulky they are. Of course, I'm going to save my final Protect Shield for Pelipper. We tank the Scald. You can see that Scald does so much damage from such a defense-weighted Pokemon, as Lucario cannot tank a hit for shit. I allow myself to get incredibly low, fire off the Thunder Punch, back out, comes Skeledirge. They only get 1 Incinerator farm, and this is where you're going to see me hugely throw this game. I didn't know how much a Hurricane did at the time. I've looked up on PvPoke, it has 53%. So of course I can 2 and throw the Hurricane, or I can 2 and double throw Weather Ball. And the thought process in double Weather Ball is that guarantees the win, as Pelipper usually wins CMP. However, this is actually IV dependent. The opponent evidently have a very, very attack weighted Skeledirge, as you can see on the screen. It is what it is. We showcase our losses. Don't be a noob like me and just pick up dubs. GG's to that opponent. I actually spent some time on PvPoke thinking, is game bad or did it actually lose CMP? So if they've got like a 14 or 15 attack, they can have a coin flip at winning CMP. And I'm actually going to give Niantic credit where credit's due. I think the game ran pretty nice today after the recent update. I had no issues whatsoever other than my lack of skill set. In the next battle, we see Goodra in the lead again. We try our luck, catching the Thunder Punch onto Steelix unsuccessfully. However, we have managed to bait out something Lucario doesn't want to see. Feraligatr is a dreadful matchup. 1 Hydro Cannon does like 75%. Lucario, definitely an honorary shadow. However, the opponent actually gives me the opportunity to realign. You can see Steelix tank that super effective Hydro Cannon, and we're now in a position where we can 1 shield and Dragon Tail farm down. Of course, I want alignment, knowing Lucario will have a much better matchup into this Goodra than Pelipper ever will do. It very quickly becomes apparent that alignment would be key, as they've got Poliwrath in the back. The opponent's got 2 Protect Shields, so of course this is a bait. The opponent looks to call the bait. Get that Poliwrath out of here. We pivot into Lucario. The opponent can throw whatever they like, although I'll be honest, I did not expect the Draco. That is a lot of resisted damage, but Lucario hangs on and the opponent concedes the match, saving 2 shields for next season. In the next battle, we see Cresselia in the lead. A lot of Cresselia do come with Poliwrath, so I'm going to let the opponent build up to a potential future sight and look to catch it onto Steelix. The opponent actually looked to Grass Knot bait me, which hits Steelix for neutral, and there is the Poliwrath, baiting it out so Lucario doesn't have to see it. So of course, if you want to successfully run an ABB team, you really need to stick to this strategy of always pivoting and looking to draw out that counter, allowing your second B-type to sweep the back line. I started the day 0-8 because Registeel, especially as a shadow, just doesn't do any damage in the mid game, whereas you can see Steelix, despite taking super effective, can hit Poliwrath back for super effective in return with the Psychic Fangs, and if you see a fire type, of course, you have that Earthquake Hail Mary. Steelix also has the ability to be a very annoying debuff mon and cheese its way through matchups, like we saw it do against the feraligatr earlier. The opponent again fire off a Grass Knot. So I don't know what the second move is, but it looks like the opponent's committed to going Grass Knot all the way. So with that in mind, we're going to look to catch the next Grass Knot onto Lucario, now they've found himself in Thunder Punch range. The opponent actually pivots out into Greninja. Trainer, are you sure about that? Look at the counter damage. Holy crap. The opponent baits me with the Night Slash, but no bait. We'll be saving this opponent's fate. We throw 4 counters and the Thunder Punch. Thunder Punch, of course, secures the knockout. The opponent has got 2 Protect Shields, but you can already see they've Rage Quit and conceded the match. So while we're going to see me resist the counter farm down, I'm actually going to say I had so much fun playing today. It's such a breath of fresh air when the game works as intended. GG's and thanks for playing. In the next battle, we see Skeledirge in the lead. Last time we threw this match up, so let's see if we've learned anything and we do somewhat better. This opponent, much like the last, throw 2 Incinerates and then send out Guzzlord. I could come in with either Pokemon, but I'm actually going to come in with Steelix, because I've seen Jeff Love play this battle out. When I previously shoutcast him, he Psychic Fanged once, Dragon Tail farmed all the way down, and you're going to leave very close to an Earthquake to potentially one-shot the returning Skeledirge. You can see even with underleveled Steelix, it's not that underleveled to be fair. I think it needs like 2 or 3 more power-ups, but still able to do that. Back out comes Skeledirge. We fire off 1 Dragon Tail and the Earthquake. Does the opponent respect the damage? They do not. They near get one shot. We can just now send out Pelipper. I'm just going to shield up whatever they throw. The opponent actually goes for the Disarming Voice, perhaps anticipating me sending out something that does resist Ghost, and out comes Greedent, and this game is so over. We fire off the Weather Wall. Then we're going to look to make the catch of the Body Slam onto Lucario, and that is going to be check and mate. GG's, and thanks for playing. In the next battle, we see Steelix in the lead. A lot of Steelix players throw on alignment. I don't want to do that, so I'm actually going to throw 1 before, and then I'm going to instantly pivot into Steelix. Not only getting off some chip damage, but also saving Pelipper at near full health. The opponent builds 2 potential Earthquakes. Steelix is the damage sponge, so trainer, you enjoy yourself. They say thanks, full send the Earthquake, and then out comes Skeledirge. Trainer, I see your Earthquake, and I raise you my own. Does the opponent respect the damage? They do not. Steelix is a Skeledirge counter confirmed. Back out comes the opponent. Steelix switch timers are misaligned, and this opponent is definitely going to be switch locked, so we're going to be able to Psychic Fang, counter farm them all the way down before their switch timer pops up. Again, the opponent builds to the Earthquake, and I'm just shielding. The opponent looks to nuke me. We shield it up, get the counter farm down, and out comes Tapu Fini. Again, Thunder Punch going to be very advantageous in this matchup. You can see it does a lot of chip damage, despite it being a pretty shit move. Due to Lucario's monstrous attack stat as well, these resisted counters don't look too resisted. You can see they are chunking. We finally force a Protect Shield. We're going to tank the Surf, pivot into Pelipper, and this is just game over. You can see we're going to wing attack him into range, where Weather Ball will be enough to knock out. We're just going to shield up the Nature's Madness. We're going to throw the Weather Ball, which of course the opponent should just let go. If they opt to shield, we're going to give them the Bad Manners Hurricane. The opponent do opt to shield, so I do not feel bad whatsoever for this BM play. GG's, and thanks for playing. Heading into the next battle, we'll lead the Flying Toilet into Alolan Ninetales. Shout out to Trainer Tips, who did actually message me on Discord. I played these battles on my lunch breaks. Didn't actually know I played him, but I found out later on. We fire off the Weather Ball. We then look to catch onto Steelix, and we see the Simul swap of Steelix into Tentacruel. This is actually a pretty neutral matchup. The opponent is going to fire off the Scold first. Steelix insanely thick. We tank the damage, and I'm just YOLOing the Earthquake. I'm not even going to bother over farming, anticipating this going shielded, but the opponent shows no respect. Steelix takes back switch. Back out comes Alolan Ninetales. The opponent plays to the CMP tie. However, Steelix, even underleveled, gonna survive the Weather Ball and get off that ever annoying Psychic Fang debuff. Psychic Fangs won't do much damage, but does get the opponent incredibly low. The opponent is going to be able to get the full tap, charm down, farm down, and I'm going to send out Lucario. Out comes a silly electric fish. We pace at the same speed to Surf and Thunder Punch. I'm just going to stay in. It's not like I can really pivot as Pelipper Lantern. It's probably one of the most RPS matchups you can ever see. We overfarm, throw the Thunder Punch on the CMP tie to the next Surf. Just look at the counter damage. Of course, I'm going to burn the final shield here. We are going to win the race to 2 charge moves. However, after throwing this next charge move, I know the switch timer for the opponent will be popping up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw the Thunder Punch, look to catch the Surf onto Pelipper. Of course, Surf won't be lethal, but they've even found themselves pretty much in Weather Ball range. The opponent sends back out Ninetales, opt to throw a charge move, and that is going to be all she wrote. We can just send out Lucario, counter farm down, throw the Shadow Ball, and as Oxford you would say, we're going to hit him with that bang! There it is. In the next battle, we see Goodra in the lead. Much like the previous battle, we're going to look to catch the Thunder Punch. It takes them 14 Dragon Breaths. So how I count Dragon Breaths, I just count my own moves. When I've thrown 7 Wing Attacks, as it's a 2-turn move, they've of course thrown 14 Dragon Breaths this time. We successfully catch the Thunder Punch, and out comes feraligatr. This of course is by no means a good matchup for Steelix, but we easily tank 1 Hydro Cannon, and we are going to get off some chip damage. We're just going to go for the Psychic Fang. A Psychic Fang won't do too much, but it is going to lower their defense, and hopefully now we can come in with Pelipper after being taken out. I'm going to throw 4 Wing Attacks and the Weather Ball, hoping that's enough to knock out. Weather Ball, of course, is resisted, but they have got a 1x lowered defense. I don't want to play to the CMP tie, as again, this is IV dependent. We've already seen me lose an IV dependent CMP today. Let's not do it again, but heartbreakingly, that just isn't enough damage. This Hydro Cannon is resisted, but it's going to do a lot of chip damage, and essentially we need Lucario to put in so much work. The opponent sends out Dragon Breath Giratina, ABA Dragons. I honestly don't know what to say. A Steel type lead, this opponent's fucked. A Fairy lead, they're fucked. However, against me, you've got me, buddy. Petition to bring back Walrein as well, as that thing would give this team nightmares. The opponent correctly shields up the Shadow Ball. I don't really know why I'm playing this out, but it is what it is. We're actually having fun. So we're just playing our battles, essentially wasting the opponent's time. The Shadow Ball lands. We're able to counter farm now. We pivot into Pelipper. We're going to YOLO the Hurricane just for science. And then finally, I am going to concede the match. GG's, buddy. Heading into the next battle, we see Obstagoon in the lead. A pretty nice matchup for Pelipper, as long as they don't get the boost. As they're reasonably bulky, not the most bulky, but bulky enough, we are going to YOLO the Hurricane. However, that thought process very quickly changes as the opponent got the boost. And you know the rule, when you boost, you always shield. So we go for the Weather Ball bait, forcing the opponent's Protect shield. My backline is double weak to counter, so of course, we're forced to start shielding Night Satches, which feels bad. Surely the opponent isn't going to 2-shield, so this time we full send the Hurricane. But of course, this opponent very horny to ride the boost, invest that Protect shield. I really need to land the Hurricane, so again, we can shield this up, throw the Hurricane. Hopefully the opponent doesn't catch, and they do not. This Hurricane won't one-shot, but will put them in a manageable range for Steelix to cheese its way through the remainder of its HP. Hopefully there's no Fire type or something in the back. We've seen the counter type in the lead. We send out Steelix. Steelix able to get the Dragon Tail farm down, and the opponent takes an absolute eternity to send out a Pokemon. And then they send out Cresselia. Trainer, this is not a Steelix answer. They are on Grass Knot, but Grass Knot just tickles the ever-annoying Steel Snake. We don't have Crunch, but Earthquake still does a reasonable amount of damage, not too much as Cresselia is very bulky. However, as I sent out Cresselia, I'm very worried they've got a Dragon in the back, so we're going to need to pivot at some stage, because Lucario isn't the best into Dragon types. So with that in mind, we farm up, catch the move onto Lucario. Grass Knot won't do too much damage, and the opponent once again is in Thunder Punch range. We're going to overfarm, look to throw on the CMP tie to another Grass Knot, anticipating the opponent might try and catch the Thunder Punch when they reach a Moonblast, banking it for later. The opponent then sends out Giratina, and they don't build up to the Shadow Sneak. Hopefully that means they've got Ancient Power. We survive the Dragon Claw, reach the Shadow Ball, despite Lucario's monstrous attacks at Shadow Ball nowhere near one shot, and the opponent is going to get the full Shadow Claw farm down. Have they 5-head me? Do they have Shadow Sneak? It's moment of truth time. The opponent doesn't have Shadow Sneak. We've got the Earthquake banked, and that is going to be all she wrote. GG's, and thanks for playing. And that is going to draw to a close today's showcase. A pretty fun team, to be honest. It started off as a bit of a mean team, but Steelix, very good. Pelipper, pretty decent. Lucario, of course, is a fun spice pick. It got buffed. Someone needed to showcase it, so I stepped up to the plate. If you're enjoying the content, smash that like button. If you're new, consider subscribing if you'd like your battles featured on my channel. A link to a battle submission form is down below. And as always, a huge thank you to everyone for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.